For me, the prospect of ethics relies on there being some sort of a connection between knowing and feeling. I know that leather harms animals, destroys the environment, and so on, and this changes how I feel about it. Now, I had a conversation with a Chinese woman here a few days ago, last week, and she really had never thought about before what leather is made of or where it comes from. She had never thought that buying leather entails killing animals. And, at first, her reaction, you sort of don't know if the person is joking. And then you realize, no, sincerely, this person is waking up to this fundamental fact of their life for the first time. And they're recognizing that something they've, in the past, only looked at as a finished product, as an item presented to consumers, has this history behind it, has these difficult ethical questions about, how it's produced and what it means about us as people, if we're willing to pay for it. But leather, if you look at it, if you smell it, if you touch it in a store as a finished product, there's nothing disgusting about it. There's nothing revolting about it. But what I know about leather can change how I feel about leather. I can feel revolted to discover, if I try something on in a store and I don't realize it's made of leather, and then I check the label. Some of you have had that experience. That happens to me more often than something like wool, where you try something on, you're looking at it, and then you only figure out that it has some hidden non-vegan ingredients. You may really feel revolted. You may feel disgusted putting on leather yourself, or when you meet a friend and your friend is wearing leather, and so on. But what I know changes how I feel, and that shapes my conduct in my daily life in many, many different ways. For me, my engagement with moral and ethical problems, it's not purely rational. It's not just an academic debating club or something. It's part of how I feel, and how I feel really does shape what I do. I sat down once in a cafe with a young woman who had just finished law school. She had just started her career as a lawyer. And from the very first time she and I met each other, we only met twice. From the very first time we met each other, there was just a tremendous chemistry between us. Tremendous physical attraction. She talked to me a lot about humanitarian work. At that time, I was really more involved in than I am now. Now I'm just a student learning Chinese, blah, 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 as most of you guys know. Talking about humanitarian work, some ethical issues in history and politics, about a lot of things that were meaningful and important to me in my life. It was what she was choosing to talk about. And we talked a little bit about her experience in law school and her starting, to be a lawyer. Now, at the end of the conversation, what she said to me directly, and it's the only second time I met up with her, she directly propositioned me. She asked me if I was going to come back to her hotel room with her. And I'll always remember, she invited me to come back to her hotel room with her for about 3 hours. She specified an amount of time. And the attraction was very real. And also, in terms of raw intelligence, my respect for her was very real. But I did not do that. I did not go with her. And the reason for me was very simple. But it's part of this element of how ethics and feeling and so on really connects to the core of my character. Late in the conversation, I then turned to her and asked, because we had just been talking about something about humanitarian work and helping the poor and the downtrodden under, conversation that we covered many different headings. I turned to her and I just said, so, in your legal practice, are you planning to address, some of these issues? Are you engaged with some of the things we'd just been talking about? And I respect her honesty, but what she said to me was no. She had chosen to just go into corporate law, and she was just going to do whatever paid the most money. When she said that to me, when she explained what her current and future career was, to use a phrase that I got from a very memorable context in Buddhism, I felt cold in my bones. It really chilled me to the core. And up to that point, I felt so attracted to her and so interested in her and what have you. Probably if she hadn't said that to me, or she had lied, if she had just told me that, yeah, she really cares about helping the poor and downtrodden, she was engaged in some kind of humanitarian work, or had some pretensions or aspirations to make the world a better place of any kind, probably I would have gone to that hotel room with her. And who knows, theoretically, we could still be in contact today. Theoretically, we could be married today. I doubt it. But that really chilled me. in the same sense that I was saying before, something like wool or leather, it doesn't look bad, doesn't feel bad, doesn't smell bad as a finished product, but what you know about it changes how you feel. For me, that was one of the most stark turning points, where just suddenly what I know about someone changes how I feel about them. And as I say, it doesn't make me a nice guy, it doesn't make me a morally good person. Quite the contrary. I really kind of identify openly as someone who cares a great deal about morality and ethics, but I'm willing to reflect on the fact that I don't conform to a lot of the social expectations that are placed on me, neither here in China, nor in Cambodia, nor in Canada. But on the other hand, both on the level of feeling and the level of rational thought about the future, I really care about ethics. I really, I've been in the position many times of having to quit a job or refuse a job before I was hired. When I was offered a job, refuse a job to start for ethical reasons. And one component of that is just thinking through ethically what's right and what's wrong. But another component of that also is that chill, is the cold in my bones that I felt. The fact that I'm actually turned off by, in this case, literally turned off by a lot of these, to me, immoral things when they're offered to me. There have been a lot of games played lately in pursuit of fame, notoriety, money, a lot of drama mongering going on within the vegan scene. And I mean, to some extent, I just tolerate it. And to some extent also, I think, at least in the beginning, people felt that this was a positive thing because the drama and the scandal mongering was supposed to be indirectly and eventually in pursuit of a larger goal, whether you call that saving the planet or helping the animals or just promoting veganism itself. But the problem is, why I'm making this video right now, on a practical level, I've got to tell you, the type of backstabbing, the negative aspects of this scandal-mongering behavior, they actually are having a negative impact on my ability to organize real-world activism right now. And they'll be having a negative impact on numerous other people who are not going to make YouTube videos talking about it. They're creating an atmosphere of hostility and distrust that's counterproductive, not long-term, not invisibly, very visibly already short-term, here and now.
Loyalty is love, love is loyalty. I watch Beanie Siegel dissing Jay-Z. I watch the game when he diss 50. I watch the locks when they diss Puffy. If I put a nigga on, is that gonna happen to me? If I put a nigga on, is that gonna happen to me? Loyalty is love, love is loyalty. I watch Beanie Siegel dissing Jay-Z. I watch the game when he diss 50. I watch the locks when they diss Puffy. If I put a nigga on, is that gonna happen to me? If I put a nigga on, is that gonna happen to me?
I proposed, me and Jason Pizzino together started discussing an event that we wanted to organize in Thailand in December. Now, is this activism in the strictest sense? No, but it's the first steps towards having real, meaningful activism emerge from this mess of, discordant and dissonant personalities that are brought together by vegan YouTube. And a lot of people were really excited about the idea. So the idea was, in its final form, was to have an event in Thailand this December, probably going up to and including New Year's Eve, because many of the people involved said that was really when they wanted to go. Be after Christmas, in the days leading up to New Year's Eve, and then celebrate New Year's Eve in Thailand. And, it was not going to be based on lectures. It was not going to be based on an academic conference. It was going to give people the opportunity to see some elephants, see some monkeys, possibly visit, a conservation park for endangered turtles. We're going to try to put together a couple of hands-on, meaningful experiences like that. But otherwise, the only events would be to meet other vegans. The type of scandal mongering and backstabbing, just mean-spirited, crude damage that's being done within veganism right now. It results in something that could be open and happy and positive and inviting in strangers, instead becomes closed. It's too bad. I still think we've got a lot of potential. I still think we've got a lot of talented people who are trying to make something positive happen, short-term and long-term. And the ultimate tragedy of this is that short-term thinking tends to resemble evil. If you're only thinking short-term about your next video, about your next 5,000 viewers, about your next 5,000 subscribers, that's going to prevent you from even thinking as long-term as this December, let's organize an event in Thailand, let's meet each other. And it's definitely going to prevent you from thinking about, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, who can I cooperate with? Who can be my colleague? Who can really contribute in a meaningful way to this whole saving the planet thing that on some level all of us are committed to?
I mean, really, people like to disrespect my crew, but the fact is that you know my name and I don't know you.